Hi there. Welcome to another talk. And this talk is called Heart-Based Living Part 2. I done another one of these talks yesterday, which was part 1. And it's a very, very important topic, heart-based living. Now, from a lot of people don't understand heart-based living. You can tell them, but they won't do it. Right? I understand about heart-based living not because, I wasn't interested in anything like this before the spiritual awakening I had. I had a completely unexpected spiritual awakening just under 10 years ago, and I did nothing to get an awakening. I didn't read spiritual books, I didn't look up information, I didn't do nothing. Then once I had it, I didn't know what was going on at the start. But I went into my heart space, and years later I found out that, that there's actually a thing called heart-based living, and the HeartMath Institute explains this, and it's in science, that when you're in heart coherence with other people, you basically are healing. You can heal the whole planet, because we connect through energy, right? The problem is, on the planet, is you've got egotistical brain energy, which is not in coherence, and so there's a problem with the planet. But, my like I say, my journey began from an unexpected spiritual awakening. But that isn't the only way to spiritual awaken. Like, I'm not giving you, the people that are watching and listening to this, I'm not giving you my awakening, because my awakening was very traumatic, right? Very traumatic. I was very, very miserable and depressed. And, before my awakening, I blamed other people, I blamed my parents, I blamed, and the awakening showed me that, no, Sean, you are energy, and that you create your reality by your energy field, right? So I started going through this path and receiving relentless knowledge, and I start going to this meditation thing. I didn't even know anything about meditation. I developed all these different techniques, of which I found out later are actually meditation techniques. And by this time I hadn't, looked up anything. And yeah, just under 10 years ago. But what actually happened is, when I had the awakening, you go in your heart space. But all you've got to do to spiritually awaken yourself is go within the heart space. The only difference is, because I'm telling you how to awaken, instead of having an unexpected spiritual awakening, you won't have the trauma that I had. So I understand that I had to go through the rough experience so that you wouldn't have to. And it's true, when you start to be heart-based, you start to understand things, right? Because what you're tuning into within the heart area is the core of everything. But it's like the core of everything is divine love, right? Unconditional love. And the reason there's this love is because when you have nothing and then you have life, there's this amazing appreciation for that life. So that's why love exists. And I'm just, like I say, I'm just trying to pass this message on as much as I can. And so what I've done, a very clever thing. I'm giving my awakening in a different way. I went in the heart space aggressively, but I'm saying it on here in a way that it won't be traumatic. But it's true, in the heart space, I call it the heaven self. That's the you that lives in heaven. Heaven is actually a place. You got the spirit world, but you got different levels of the simulation version of the spirit world. It's still part of the simulation, the matrix. Heaven is when you've passed all the tests. Now, this is why ascension and awakening is so important, because you can't get to heaven if you don't pass the tests. People that have had near-death experiences have said this. They've said that you must pass tests, and when you die, you have to go through life review. So this is why you must live your life to what you know to be right and what you know to be from the heart, right? That is why we're here. We are here to live from the heart, spiritually awaken ourselves and the planet. That's our mission on planet Earth. If you're not doing this, then you're failing your journey. Like I said to my mum and dad today, I says, they're wanting to listen to this hypnotherapist. I've had hypnotherapists contact me, and if they've done a course on anything, a lot of the time they're fakes. I said to them, if you want to listen to someone, listen to me. Because I'm the only one in my family that has actually had a spiritual awakening. My dad said, oh, I've been awake for 40 years. And I said, no, you haven't had a spiritual awakening, have you yet? And the answer is no. Because there's people that do courses and are into this stuff for a long time, but they don't get that awakening yet. You're not going to be in the same level, because awakening is an experience. Reading something in a book or hearing information is one thing, but an awakening is a very deep experience. That is the highest experience, most divine experience that you can have on planet Earth. And the reason we have spiritual awakenings is to elevate ourselves into the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is when everything becomes infinite love. The fourth dimension becomes apparent in the spiritual awakening. The fourth dimension is parallel universes and realities. And then you go into the fifth dimension, which is just infinite love. Then you realize everything's made up by everybody. The word dimension is a made-up word, isn't it? And you realize that the self that you are doesn't exist. You let go of the self, and when you let go of the self, there's forgiveness, there's healing. Forgive others. Because once you let go of the ego self, which is the self, that's when forgiveness comes. Right? You don't get so angry. You just want to let karma and life do its thing. You don't, like my thing before, for the awakening, I wanted to get people back all the time, hurt them for hurting me. Now I don't feel that way. I'm just totally heartfelt, but totally heartfelt means you're authentic, right? Like my mum or people in general will misunderstand me. And the reason I said to my mum today, I says, the reason you don't understand me is because you're not authentic, which is true. My spiritual awakening happened because I had a moment of complete authenticity. I sat down and I had enough, and it was so deep that it manifested this awakening. In spiritual awakening, the proper unexpected awakening, you go through a lot of tears, a lot of healing. And as you're going deeper with this, you're accessing this knowledge, and the deeper you're going into the Akashic records. And it all starts by going within the heart space. I haven't inherited any illnesses from either parents or even distant relatives. I went to a psychiatrist when I was very ill, when I was depressed, and he said, you're just impulsive, you don't have any mental conditions. So, and I take supplements every day now and vitamins, and I'm on this great health road. And it's just an amazing, and the reason that is, before my awakening, couldn't be bothered with stuff like this, because once you start to live from the heart, you start to do things that is for your well-being, because you love yourself, you like yourself now. My mum also says to me earlier, she says, are you ashamed that you live with your mum? I says, no. Because to be ashamed that you live with your parents wouldn't be my thinking. It would be because of the outside programming. Remember, the sheeple are programmed to think what they think. I've had a spiritual awakening, so I actually don't have any bad feelings. I have absolute respect for myself now. I never used to before the awakening. That's why I was depressed. I don't feel any shame at all. I'm absolutely in the present moment. I love myself just as I am, and I accept myself fully just as I am. You know, I don't want anything else in the present moment. The present moment is all we can have. You see? The problem is people, if they're living with their parents or they're doing something, they're always wanting something else. And this is what hurts us. And in the spiritual awakening, I let go of that. This is why you don't see me chasing after women now. I haven't done that for many years. And people would probably, how does he do that? I'm just basically on this journey all the time, going within me, and to do that the best way, I've got to be present. If I was wanting to live somewhere else, that's going to distract me away from this within path. Because the thing that we must do is, it's all about the heart space, like I say. That is the doorway to the core of what you are. Like my dad says earlier today, that oh, you die and you go to the core. No, you can go to the core by having a spiritual awakening. Right? You need that spiritual awakening. That's why when someone's had an awakening, they're on a different level. They're receiving relentless knowledge. Because they're in a different dimension to you. So the spiritual awakening is an essential experience that takes you to that next level of your consciousness. Or 2 levels up, if you're talking about dimensions. 2 dimensions up at least. And that's why your perception of reality becomes oneness. You know, you start to, even when you're going through a lot of healing, you'll be crying, but you'll be opening your heart to the tears. You won't be trying not to cry anymore. You'll be very open and heart-based with everything you're going through. And what that does is it heals you. When we have situations and moments where we're tearful, a lot of that is actually traumas from other realities that we've had. That's why we get in situations that bring us hurt so that we can heal from it. And that's the state I'm in all the time. I'm in this transcendental state where I'm learning, where I'm developing, because I'm present. And in that present, I'm thinking, what is this here to teach me? This is because once you're heart-based, you build a relationship with the heart and brain. Your brain starts thinking heart-based thoughts. Heart-based thought is using the present experience to help you evolve, to help you grow. And you can, if you think of it, you can be in any experience and look at it that way. And when you look at every experience as growth, you never feel bad. Right? Everything becomes development. And this is the state I'm in because of that spiritual awakening. Like I say, it's so important on the spiritual path. And what I'm doing is I'm giving a super simple guide to this. You know, I've had people contacting me on the internet who are like hypnotherapists, and if they've done a course on something, the chances are, if they're doing the courses, they haven't had the spiritual awakening. So their agenda is themselves. Someone that's had a spiritual awakening, when you have a spiritual awakening, you have to go through tests, lots and lots of tests in your awakening process. And that's when chakras and things start to align. So you're not in it for yourself. God would have not have given you a spiritual awakening if you weren't good enough to get the awakening, if you weren't, right for the path. Because remember, if you've had a spiritual awakening, you're there to help awaken other people. That's why God has given you the experience. And in the heart space, like I say, that is how you tune into God. And that is the pathway of the spiritual awakening process, but it's easier said than done. But it's a lot easier that way than the way I had it, which was traumatic and unexpected. But I'm just going to leave it there. For latest updates, talks like this, please do visit my website at www.lovelifefamily.com. Thank you for watching and listening.